Thank you, Andy, for having me here. My name is Burak Yolga. I'm the co-founder of Forceget International Supply Chain. We are a direct Amazon partner. We go to Amazon Accelerate 3 years in a row as an invited vendor. So we have a lot of insight about Amazon e-commerce. We became partner with Walmart. We have a digital platform that has over 20 integrations. So what we do is we help brands to take their goods from factory floor all the way to their end customers, include Amazon fulfillment centers, Walmart fulfillment centers, D2C, Shopify, TikTok, and as well as global expansion. So anything related to supply chain, shipping, custom clearance, uh, tariff consultancy, if there is anything really to say. Uh, but I believe um, things are not going to get resolved maybe in that such short term. So we always need to do like a plan B, plan C, plan D. But whenever there's a chaos, whenever there's a problem, there are also solutions. That's what I believe. So you need to look for alternatives, expanding globally, maybe selling in different marketplaces, reassembling in different countries. So we can all discuss that. And actually, last month, I was in Asia for 3 weeks. I was in Thailand, Vietnam, China, Hong Kong. I spoke to a lot of manufacturers, like suppliers. I spoke to logistic companies. And we have over 70 employees. We have 6 offices across the world. So we're trying to help brands to understand we try to help brands to understand their landing cost, their profit, and give them a visibility. So that's our core day to day.
And just to give a little more background, guys, like Barack said, they've been Forceget's been at a lot of different trade shows and events. In fact, I first discovered them at the Alibaba Co-Create in Las Vegas a few years ago. Then I saw you guys again at Amazon Accelerate, and then we've done some Zoom call meetings and
Yeah.
chatted back and forth about different things. So yeah, very experienced. They've got great experience, like you said, going to China, talking to suppliers directly and everything. So the big questions, Barack, that are on my mind personally as a brand owner who still runs my own brand on Amazon, and I source 100% of my products in China,
Right.
is what are you seeing in the landscape for Amazon sellers or just e-commerce brand owners, right, who are sourcing in China? What moves are they making, or kind of what's the pulse that you're getting from your perspective on how people are, addressing the issue?
When this tariff first announced, I would say 50 to 60% of our customers, they stopped importing. They had ready orders, so they stopped the order shipping out. They had open POs, they paused, they canceled. I'm sure you guys heard about Amazon canceled a bunch of their, when I say bunch of, obviously it's like over hundreds of millions of dollars. It's more than a bunch.
Hmm.
Purchase orders for the fourth quarter because they think that the landing cost is going to be too high. And technically, everybody was panicking. Now I feel people are start looking into different options, such as trying to find bonded warehouse in the US. If people never heard about bonded warehouse, it's a type of the same 3PL that you can picture. Part of it is basically defined as like free trade zone. So the product is still in United States in the warehouse, but that partial warehouse is reserved to keep the goods as they haven't been imported yet. So you can keep the products there and you can start partially importing them to into United States. So how is it going to help you? The question is a lot of people, can I avoid tariff with this way, tax on duty? The answer is no. Why it's good? Because if you have a full container and instead of importing everything once and paying all that tariff in once, you can park your products there up to 5 years and you can partially import the product. So how is this going to help you? If you have $100,000 worth of product, you're paying $150,000 almost tariff. Yes, ouch, that hurts. But at least you can start importing part of it and then you pay that tariff partially. And a lot of companies and brands, they're asking me the solution, but I feel the way brands needs to look at this business as not just one-time import, but you should probably start accumulate the cost of import goods this time until whatever you have imported beginning of the year and whatever you're going to import next 6 to 8 months or 12 months. So this way, instead of calculating your one-time landing fee, like that, your tariff fee increase a lot that one import, but how many items actually are you importing a year? What's your total cost? And then if you're lucky enough, you imported some products beginning of the year, then your that 145% will go down because you probably paid only 20% in the beginning of the year. So I would think as this a long-term business, not even 1 year, 2 years. A lot of people might think they don't have cash. Yes, that's a serious issue. What's the solution on that? Start expanding other marketplaces. It may sound easy for me, but I sold on Amazon in the past. I had a B2B business. I had a sourcing business, so my background is a lot about the sourcing. I feel using your existing inventory, using your existing products to start expanding new marketplaces, it's easier than actually changing your entire manufacturing from China to Vietnam, China to Turkey, China to India. I think, excuse me, trying to find a new market and try to sell the products in new countries, yes, it's not easy, but it's actually easier than switching your entire production, switching your entire supply chain, finding the supplier, price negotiating, getting the sample, get the production going on, find a safe way to pay these people. There are a lot of, unfortunately, scam going on. I highly recommend people, if they find a supplier in a different country, uh, hire a third-party inspection company such as SGS. It's a global one, only pay $300, $400. At least your deposit will be safe. So is there a solution? Yes. Is it a temporary situation? I think so. Every day I watch the finance news and I try to come up with like a solution. So if you really heavily want to keep selling the products in the US, the best thing is ship your products to US bonded warehouse or Canada, and then you can start importing partially. And if the tariff situation pauses or postpones, you're lucky enough to have inventory very close so you can start importing. Um, the second option, if you don't have that much time, you don't have the money to pay the tariffs, start looking at alternatives. Australia, UK, Europe, we can help you with shipping, we can help you with setting up the company. These are the most common practices now people are discussing and talking. Another interesting thing is, Andy, when I went to Canton Fair, Hong Kong Global Source, and Hong Kong Electronic Fair, I spoke to over like 200 suppliers maybe, and they're all also looking for partner suppliers in other countries. So it's not just, hey, as Andy, you have a brand, you rely on 100% China, you start looking for alternative suppliers. But actually, interesting thing is your suppliers also looking for partners in the other countries. Why? Number one, they don't want to lose the communication with you. They still want to do some markup, maybe not that high, but at least 5 to 10% to keep business moving, and the money is going through still them. So they still have your business. So if you're looking for alternative supplier, you could actually ask your supplier in China, hey, do you have a partner in Vietnam? Do you have a partner in Malaysia?
Mm.
Here's the tricky part. I interviewed it was very interesting. It's on my YouTube channel. I interviewed a factory, and they produced this computer mouse, right? So they told me this product in their China factory is $5, but in Vietnam it was $6. I was like, hey, Vietnam has much cheaper labor costs. Why? Like, so in China, someone works in the factory gets paid 1,000 American dollar a month. In Vietnam, $300. So I was like, how come the price is not cheaper? Made in Vietnam. And they told me the raw materials is shipped from China to Vietnam, but then the other things are more expensive there, such as packing materials, some of the other like other raw materials that they get, maybe printing and etc., management, local tax, whatever they told me. I was like, interesting. But what I realized is that $1, which is around 7 RMB, 7 yuan, it's the cost of shipping this product from China to Vietnam, relabeling, repacking, and ship it out. So you should be careful if someone is trying to tell you, hey, this is made in Vietnam. They show you, they put the made in Vietnam label. You need to make sure it's actually made in Vietnam. How you can do that? Video call them, get some pictures, ask them to send you a video saying your name, the date. So they need to prove that it's actually been made in Vietnam. So this is a big fraud going on,
Mhm.
a lot of black hat tactics. I'm not saying all suppliers, of course, do that, but there are a lot of people doing that, and freight companies, and they try to import things very, very low value to US. $10 product, they try to import like dollar two. It's too risky, and it's something very interesting because the custom already has uh, the record of how many containers per month ships out of Vietnam. If the number went up 30%, 40% in 1 month, it's definitely suspicious.
Mhm.
So I know people want to keep doing business. I know people want to keep shipping products. They need to get inventory in here, but you got to make sure everything is clean. This is, I believe, short-term thing, 3 to 6 months. It needs to be solved. Excuse me. But then uh, don't do anything like risky, I would say, you know.
Yeah, we talked a
So it's
lot.
it's just a lot of. I hope it's not too much information. I know it sounds so easy for me to talk about this. I've been talking about this to a lot of people, but I know it's sometimes hard to like process.
We talked on my call 2 weeks ago about some of these strategies that you mentioned, the rerouting, and we also talked about, kind of what you were mentioning now. You need to be very careful because you have to have you need a clear paper trail that, raw materials were actually purchased by a Vietnamese factory and that
Yeah,
there was
country of
actually,
origin.
yeah,
Customs asking a lot of country of origin, so it
yeah,
needs to be a proper documentation.
they're cracking down on that because here's my take too on all of this as far as like rerouting shipments and everything. I read the news every day now. I didn't used to be a big news reader, but ever since all this, I'm like engulfing the news every day to see what the latest updates are. And I've been reading a lot of articles the past 2 days, honestly, about Chinese suppliers and factories leaving China. So it used to be like, the buyers and the brands are relocating their,
Yeah.
supply chains or whatever. But there's Chinese suppliers, and there's quotes. I mean, I share a lot of this on my LinkedIn, but there's quotes from Chinese factories saying, we sell toys or we sell stationary products, and 95% of our business is with the US. So they're looking to even move their factory to the US. Like Chinese corporations are trying to buy land and stuff in Texas in the US to build factories. They're also looking, I read an article, I think it was last night or this morning, where there's a Chinese factory trying to move to Egypt. And the reasoning for that is they said the VP of the Chinese brand quoted that they're looking into Egypt specifically because Egypt is in a trade deficit with the US. And that's like the big thing is, right, is the whole trade deficit, whatever. So they're like, oh, Egypt is a good place to go because we don't anticipate the US having issues with Egypt based on the trade deficit. So it'll be interesting to see, over the next 6 months to a year, you might find a factory in, I mean, Southeast Asia. Yeah, you never really know. Like, who are you actually dealing with? Who's actually making it? It's probably China, even though it's Vietnam. But you might
Yeah.
reach out to a factory in Egypt, Turkey, the US, and it's a Chinese factory. That's what's kind of
Yeah.
crazy to me about that.
That's so true. I mean, look, companies in Vietnam, it was my first time I went to Vietnam, actually. I feel it was a great time. I feel Vietnam today, they are 30 years behind where China was. So 30 years ago. So it's gonna take time to like build this infrastructure, export ports, roads, trucks. It's just not like just a moving factory in one day. They need to build, they need to hire people, they need to have the insurance, they need to have, I mean, I don't want to sound like a negative person, but whether those companies like, let's say China, if the tariff, in my expectation, is going to be somewhere between 50 to 60%, maybe not 145%. It's like a joke.
Mhm.
After negotiations come to a point, whether those companies are willing to do this or not, because this happened 5 years ago too, when 8 years ago almost, when first Trump was elected, they start having this kind of conversation. Even Apple, they're like, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Yeah, I think this time it's more serious, but whether how much this is gonna hurt, like today the interest rate, Fed did not cut the rates,
Hmm.
uh, which that's what the administration wanted because if the rates are lower, people can borrow more money, they can spend more, they can buy houses, cars, whatever. So it's not going down, and then there's an expectation of the inflation in 3 to 6 months. So this is like a big dilemma, I think, where we are business owners. Like you could actually make a decision today, ship some products, and then tomorrow there's a cancellation on that tariff, you're like, oh, bummer. I spent $150,000 for nothing. But then you don't do it, you don't bring inventory, then you don't have a product to sell. Because also think about this. If you don't bring products, your competitors also don't bring a product. So eventually
Hmm.
there's a market, there's a demand, it's gonna go down, and eventually the buyers want to buy the things. If someone said, hey, we can have like few less toys in the Christmas, I don't think it's gonna work out that way. People still will be like willing to spend money, even if the spending is already like way too high. Um, I guess in a short term, uh, I wouldn't really stop. I wouldn't try to stop my business. I would maybe lower my quantity, maybe not import everything, but I think I would keep rolling the business. Like otherwise, I feel it's just too risky to stop everything. But it's always good to start looking at expanding new countries as well as start trying this sourcing from different countries.
I think that's the advantage because the thing that's on my mind lately over, all of this is a lot of my students, listeners, people who are on live right now, people who watch the replay podcast, everyone. There's kind of two major boats of brand owners. You've got the boat of the brand owners who are just getting going, like some even like haven't even ordered their first order of inventory, they're just getting into the game, or they're very new still. Like we're talking 500 units, they've got one or two SKUs, a lot more nimble, right? And for them, for those sellers, kind of again, the strategy on my mind is like, hey, you're more nimble. Um, you don't have, a ton of inventory tied up in the US marketplace or whatnot. Your strategy would probably be more like what you were saying. International marketplaces, consider an alternative supplier because you're
Right.
still kind of in that boat where you can afford and you're not as tied to the success of the business where you like got to keep pushing ahead. The other boat of the sellers, though, are the sellers who, I mean, I guess like my brand, where you have 100 SKUs, um,
Yeah.
you're pushing $1 million plus a year, where, oh, let's go find a different supplier. Like that is a huge undertaking. One, can you match the quality of what you've already been establishing for your brand?
Yeah.
Not to mention all the like you said, all the samples, all the headache and everything. Like that's a massive,
Returns.
it's a massive project to where it's kind of like, do you go down that path of that huge like resourcing project? And that takes you 6 to 9 months. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, P.S. the tariffs are gone again. So it's like, oh my gosh, like I get that there's maybe a little bit more future security if you do go down that road. You're like, okay, well, if anything in the future happens with China, I'm not in China, but you got to keep your business going for those people like me or other established brands where it's like you at some point you got to keep going. It's just that really, really hard decision of how long can you hold out? And to me, this is so much like COVID, where it's like, they announced the big COVID shutdown and no one had any idea how long it was actually going to last. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it'll be a month, it'll be 6 months, 2 years. Like,
It was 3 years in
yes.
China.
Yeah, it's like you don't know. Like, we have no idea. I think we try to be optimistic, like we're optimistic that, like, oh my gosh, we're meeting on Saturday. Like, hopefully something happens. And I think me and you are kind of that same belief of,
Yeah.
I can't imagine a world where it stays at 145%.
Yeah.
Like
I think
yeah, I just don't see that happening for the long term. I don't think tariffs are going away, obviously, but I think it has to cool off to some degree for the sake of the global economy not crashing and burning. So yeah, just like when do we take that gamble? When do we take the gamble of saying, I'm gonna reorder even though tariffs are still stuck at 145%?
Look, there's a way to actually there's a legal way to reduce the tariff a little bit. You can actually do a break excuse me, you can do a breakdown of your product. If you are buying a product for $10, you can remove R&D cost, you can remove the packaging, maybe FOB export charges. They're not major they're not major maybe part of the business, like part of the FOB price or export price. So you can still go like $10 to save $8, $7. If your product is like more complex product, like a more engineered product, you pay for tooling in the past, you did your own design OEM, maybe ODM, you maybe apply for patent in the past. Uh, you can like kind of break that down, and then you can take out the part that it cannot be taxable, so the service part. But some people are trying to do like they're ordering hats and they're like, oh yeah, $4 hat is like $3.5 is R&D. Like that makes no sense, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So, I understand like nobody wants to pay probably tax due to, but it's not the legal way. You cannot do that technically, you know.
Let's go. I want to talk just a little bit more about the bonded warehouse thing.
Mhm.
We touched on that. I touched on that with my audience again a couple of weeks ago. Some pushback that I got from some of my followers, listeners, was that they can't find bonded warehouses, or the bonded warehouses they have found through, their Googling and whatnot, are all full.
Very
What?
expensive also.
Yeah. Are you seeing any availability? Are you seeing that it's worth it to go that route for bonded
We
warehouses?
we have a partner, bonded warehouse. Our regular warehouse is not bonded. We have a partner. Um, it depends on the strategy. Like when I ask a question to someone, when they say, "Oh, it depends," I hate the answer. But now, unfortunately, the answer is now it's like um, depends. If you have enough margins, if your product you have the right profit, you have the purchase orders. Look, man, like some people need to keep bringing product. Like you have been, let's say, supplier to Walmart 10 years, and you have made like a lot of money in 10 years. The smart business owner will not cut the contract with Walmart saying that, hey, I have tariff, they have to eat the margin. Otherwise, you can never get the contract with Walmart again. So
Yeah.
imagine how many B2B businesses or how many, even the vendor center like that. I know that some of the retailers, they're like, no, we're not going to allow anyone to increase the price. But we have a client, they import products in the health and wellness industry category, and they're shipping products to Target, Dick's Sports, uh, Walmart, and then they say, "Hey, do you guys want to adjust the price?" Like they're open for up to 20%, and they can actually lower their invoice value 10% because they have some part that really it's not taxable. So it was an R&D. They created like new features and everything. They take that part out. So you can still like squeeze in a little bit. Yeah, the bundle warehouse is not something fun, but if you want to use it, if you need to use it, it's the best option. If you want to survive, you want to have the inventory in here, you want to keep going. You sell some product maybe in the loss, or you have some product you're selling like break even, and then once everything like pause, you want to like immediate orders start promotions start running, and maybe you also increase your profit a little bit, like you increase your price, then you have like a little bit more space. So that's why when this started like a month ago, they're like, oh, this is gonna last a month, last a week. But now I feel this may last longer than 1 or 2 months. I hope I'm wrong, but the negotiations kind of look like be tough. And some say it can go up to July before the fourth quarter. They will have a deal, but you never know. And again, it's a business decision. Like if you have capital, if you want to like um, bring more inventory, increase the price, open new channels, you should, because people still buying products. Like a lot of people is crazy that they don't even know what's tariff. They're like, oh, the price increase, fine. So they don't understand, if you're not an importer, you don't care. You just like, I mean, we have inflation anyways. Like last 2 years, 3 years. If you live in the US, uh, we have inflation, man. Like groceries, at least up like 20, 25, 30%. That's my personal opinion. I live in Florida, it's a little bit crazier. But we all feel like insurance went up, the car payments go up, the mortgage payments, everything, like all the raw materials except the salary. So, like my mobile phone bill went up like 30%. It's crazy. like in 2 years. Like there's no really reason. So I don't think it's the end of the world. People should look for solutions. People should look for extra revenue, extra profit. That's what you need to do. Maintain your business. Don't stop everything. Ship the products, let's say Canada, US, go in a warehouse or Mexico. Keep it there for a midterm storage. And hopefully by the fourth quarter, things are okay. You start importing, but start expanding. Like start expanding to TikTok shop, better margins. And the problem is Amazon FBA, like it's eating 50% of the margins. TikTok shops are more profitable. You can do Shopify, you can do Walmart. You can start selling in Canada, UK, Europe, Australia. Imagine in 3 months you expand to three marketplace. You maybe will start taking 30 to 40% of your total sales from US. And look, the problematic times sometimes bring like opportunities. You never were
Hmm.
thinking about expand to other marketplaces, but maybe if you start selling on Amazon Australia, there's a local B2B Australian brand's gonna see your product, they don't like it, they want to start ordering wholesale. That's how the largest electronic brand on Amazon, like Anchor, did it. They start selling on Amazon. The other B2B businesses, South America, Australia, Asia, they heard about them. They start taking the distribution ship. It's core to B2B. So now from China, they sell over 60 countries B2B. Plus they had their B2C. So I really don't think that we should just like start complaining about these things, but find for a solution. Yeah, the first week, 2 weeks was like stressful. Trust me,
Hmm.
for me too. Depressive, but life goes on. We have to find opportunities. We need to find options. We need to start selling more profit, different markets. People think that, oh, it's easy to say that, but also it happened in our business. Like our 60% of our business affected because it was China to US. So we start looking at alternative like 4 or 5 different business things.
The thing that I look at too with this is, to me, it reminds me a lot of the stock market, where I think it's Warren Buffett. Fact check me on this one, guys. But one of those big investment guys, Schwab or Warren Buffett, they preach the, when everyone's panicking, that's when stocks are on sale. Like the best time to buy
Yeah,
is when something is on discount, right? So like in the stock market, obviously, this is not advice. It's whatever my disclaimer I'm supposed to say about this, but you see the stock market or Bitcoin or whatever it is drop, tanking. If you have cash on hand and you're willing to take risk, that's the best time to buy,
of
because
course.
that's when you're going to make your best gains when it recovers. So I see this kind of as a similar type of thing where it's just as risky per se as like buying in the stock market during a down period. You're buying inventory, you're buying into e-commerce, you're buying into your brand building when it's a down time. But like you
You
said, you're
can you
trying
can also look a better price with your supplier. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Andy, but it's a good time because your supplier they
100%.
they are in a difficult time. And if you know that you have a good brand, you will expand other marketplaces. You have plans. Instead of ordering 2,000, just place an order 8,000, but don't pay everything up front. Obviously, tell them, hey, you're gonna order this product in every 2 months. 2 months period of time, you're gonna start ordering. They at least will order the raw material. When they order raw material, they're not paying everything also. If they order this mouse for $5, the raw material total will be like $2.5 in total. The rest is their profit, production cost. So if they order, they only tie up 2.5, but they have a hope they can also survive. So it's not like you're not the same in this business. So you can actually negotiate also much better price and tell them, hey, I need 20% discount. And in real time, there's no way they will give you that. In
Hmm.
this time, they could be like, hey, I'll give you 15%, order 8,000 units. They need this business. So I think you're right. I mean, if things are tanking, things are not in good shape, this is the time to actually move.
Yeah, this is a time to get like bulk quantity pricing on lower MOQs. Like you'll see factories all the time, right? They'll do like a quantity discount, whether it's a thousand units, 10,000 units. Like you could maybe get 10,000 unit pricing right now, but order, like you said, 1,000 units with, a
But
commitment, contract, whatever. Obviously, they can't
But also
really
try to but
tie
also
you
try
to
to
that,
change
but
your product. I mean, try to change, add something else. Try to launch a new SKU or make a bundle to find like a more expensive. I know some people they're selling like cheap products for $10, $15, 20. They don't have margins. Try to invent a new product that, upgrade the product, add like a new feature and try to relaunch that product. I think it's a good opportunity for a lot of people to evaluate their business. Like, hey, what I'm doing right? Am I ready? This is not the last uh, problem we're going to face in the business, and this is not the first one. So there will be new issues coming in a year, two, three, five. We never know, but you got to be ready whenever something else hits. So you have to be like thinking, okay, what are my solutions?
Yeah. That's really good advice, honestly, to kind of I guess tie off the question of what do you do when, problems, challenges like this arise? You can't just, shut it down and be like, "Oh, crap, COVID came, I'm shutting it." I mean, some people did. Obviously, some people were kind of had to, I guess, brick and mortar, but if it's COVID, if it's tariffs, if it's, port strikes, whatever the inflation, whatever the challenge or issue is, it's just looking for the opportunity within that challenge. It might be like we said, it's a greater opportunity to establish market share, even though your profits are significantly lower. Maybe it's like, hey, I'm just going to break even through this period, but I'm just going to grab market share while my competitors are panicking, right? And they're not reordering. I'm going to reorder, break even, build my ranking up on Amazon if we're talking Amazon, and then you'll have that, established for when things hopefully, right, improve.
It will be back. I mean, even Trump says, "Hey, it's not going to stay 145%. It's a matter of time." I think I will just like prepare for the worst, and then I guess like wish the best. Wish the best.
Barack, for people who are looking, obviously you guys have services, help with the logistics, the shipping. I know a lot of people in the past in the Amazon game, a lot of people were utilizing the de minimis shipping loophole, a lot of air shipping, a lot of air DDP, that kind of strategy. I personally believe I've been saying this for a while, even before tariffs. I personally believe for a lot of products and brands, that strategy is kind of dying. Like we got to get more lean with the supply chain, even if it means longer times, even if it means boat shipping, freight forwarders, stuff like that. Um, how can people, I guess, reach out, connect with you to see what their best options are as far as supply chain, shipping, logistics, that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna drop my email address in the chat. But I think this year and the most important thing is to go global, expand at least two countries to test out, and at
Hmm.
least two new sales channels like TikTok, Shopify. We do fulfillment for them. We have a warehouse in East Coast and West Coast. This is a regular warehouse, not bonded. I think the most important topic 2025, because we all know that Amazon fees are higher and the demand on Amazon is lower. Like a lot of people, they lost sales in Amazon, and also the PPC cost is very high. I really recommend people to start testing new sales channels. Like these two options, increasing, expanding new marketplaces and new sales channels, you can actually start recovering more sales than Amazon, and profit is definitely higher.
That's great advice.
So you can
Okay,
like
guys.
contact me at sales@forceget.com directly. It comes to me, and then I can offer like a free consultancy directly to people coming from through you, Andy.
Okay, perfect. Um, okay, guys. Any other final questions? If anyone has any, I guess, final questions, I didn't see any come through the chat, but I guess the better move would be if you have obviously like your personal, private, confidential questions related to your brands, your products and stuff. You've got the email right there. So don't hesitate to reach out. Like I said, we've been in contact about different strategies and things that we're trying to look into on, when we're finally going to take that leap and place our reorders for our own inventory. So thanks again, Barack, for hopping on. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Andy, for having me. Appreciate it.